Real quick, before we get into the show, I wanted to share a new service called Getita that Ken and I have been using that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getita collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to Getita.com, Getida, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?
We're not flashy. I realize a lot of people in marketing go for the flashy, and a lot of clients go for the flash, right? And we are not flashy. So that would not be a good fit if that's what you're looking for. We're more educate and then kind of make you self-sufficient. And if you're ready to be self-sufficient, then that's fantastic. That's the fit.
If you really are going to be intended on Facebook ads for doing this, you need to be very much focused around being strategic. So thinking outside the box a little bit. So, depending on the widget your customers are going for, let's say it's a kitchen gadget. Well, you need to get into the head of where are those people hanging out that would buy kitchen gadgets, or what kind of content are they going to digest? Just knowing what you're selling, obviously you know what you sell, but knowing how your customers interact with you is going to be the most important thing. So you're not reaching them with the inbox when they're apt to check it out, it's going to fail. And Shreya, the other one's the headlines, right? Like we find testing those are big.
It is. And a lot of times what we do is, and you can see the big companies do this too, send the same email with a different subject line to the unopens, the people that did not open the email.
Welcome everyone to the Firing the Man podcast, a show for anyone who wants to be their own boss. If you sit in a cubicle every day and know you are capable of more, then join us. This show will help you build a business and grow your passive income streams in just a few short hours per day. And now your hosts, serial entrepreneurs David Schomer and Ken Wilson.
Welcome to Firing the Man podcast. On today's episode, we have the privilege to interview Shreya, Banerjee, and Paul Kuntz, co-founders of Marketing Counts. Shreya and Paul team up to empower entrepreneurs to generate more traffic, sales, and leads with their cutting-edge digital marketing and social media marketing tips and tricks. Pulling from their combined 30 years of marketing online, they will help you unleash the power of the web for your business. With a global following, over 100,000 entrepreneurs, and 30 years of combined digital marketing experience, Paul and Shreya will help you unleash the power of the web for your business. We're so excited to get to share Paul and Shreya's story and knowledge with the listeners today. Welcome to the show, Paul and Shreya.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. So glad to be here.
Yeah,
love it.
Awesome. So let's get right in. So we normally like to go over kind of your background, your story, your journey. And so we'll start with Shreya.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm excited to tell you my story. I don't have a traditional marketing background. Like people say, you kind of study in marketing and then you kind of get in. I have an engineering background. I did mechanical engineering in college, went and worked in a corporate career, worked in a supply chain industry where I went in and went from one facility to another facility trying to figure out why they were not meeting numbers. What can we do to fix it? I have a Lean Six Sigma. I'm a black belt in that. That means just I'm really good at processes and really good at solving problems. But back in college, I was interested in marketing. So I was doing a little thing. I was running ads. That was my first play. I did, those e-zine articles way back in college. I did that and I enjoyed it. But like everybody says, right, you're graduating, go get a job. And that's exactly what I did. And I started working for the man. Enjoyed it, had a good career, had an amazing career. But then my son was born. He's just turned 7. And I had a hard time balancing that. I think everybody kind of sort of does when they have a kid and you're trying to find out what your, work-life balance is. And I struggled with that because even though I enjoyed my job, I kind of wanted to be home with him as well and not miss the stuff that was going on in his life or when he was sick or, it was kind of hard. So, kind of went back into the internet marketing world because that gives you that flexibility, that ability to set your own hours and you can work from anywhere. And so I kind of went back to that. Did a couple of product launches, had a blogging course, had a YouTube course, and then met Paul about 4 years ago at a live event. And then we kind of did a couple of product launches together as well. And then we started Marketing Counts. So that's our, we'll tell you together, our story together, but that's my kind of background story. I kind of came back into marketing and internet marketing, digital marketing specific, trying to find that work-life balance.
Yes.
Yeah. So I ended up, started at 13 doing marketing. So I was in my parents' house with dial-up internet. So I've been doing this over 23 years now. So that dates me, but over 23 years doing digital marketing to some level. So I started doing email marketing back in 1999 for a custom screen print embroidery company that I was actually working for as what was called at that time a Viper V, which is a junior sales rep. And so I was selling apparel, custom screen print embroidery apparel. And a friend of mine, or family friend of ours, athletic director, gave me the handbook for all the athletic directors in the state. And I discovered that you could email them all and get them to do business. So that's when I started my journey. And it was while I was working for that company that there was an e-commerce brand and they had a website and everything. They didn't have a website, so we couldn't send stuff out, but they were growing their brand online. And I kept telling them, hey, I can't send the proofs because it's too, I was using Hotmail at the time and the attachments were too big. So finally they got the website. They listened to me. He said, hey, you wanted the website, you learn how to market it. So there I was in high school learning SEO. And ever since then, it's been quite the journey. I've gone on to have quite a successful career in digital marketing. I've taught, literally hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs across the world how to make money online. And I've also produced 2 feature films along the way. And then we actually, Shreya and I got partnered up in 2018. I was really missing the process piece. I was doing everything solo and, with a few partnerships here and there, but really realized that in order for us to grow and scale and reach even a bigger audience, I needed better processes. That's where Shreya came into 2018. Since then, we've actually have our curriculum in over 140 high schools, actually teaching marketing and training to kids of the younger generation, because we really value education first. That's very important to us. So educate so that anybody that we always want to, push education first. And that's very important for people to know.
Even with our clients, that's what we focus on. Because I feel a lot of time when you go in to a new client, they say, well, I was paying this other company so many dollars a month. And they said they were taking care of it. And when we go in, nothing was done. So we focus a lot on education. So even after we're gone, they know to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
What question should I ask if I'm getting somebody, I'm hiring somebody, right? Because a lot of time we're not saying that you need to be an expert in it and that you need to do it, but you need to know to ask the right questions so you don't get tricked.
Yeah, absolutely. So, real excellent. I'm super excited to interview you guys today. And sounds like you guys have combined over 30 years experience, Paul.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself also, but I do remember the days of dial-up and the images loading little line by line and pixel by pixel. So I feel your pain on that one.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And so you guys, and also Paul, you kind of spoke to the power of partnerships. Whenever you're bringing a partner and they have different skill sets and that value add kind of levels you up. And so, I like that you spoke to that. That's really cool.
It's huge.
Powerful.
Very, very powerful. No, it's something every business owner should look into. It's very strong. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're going to kind of dive in today. So as we talked about a little bit before the show starts, our audience is primarily e-commerce and primarily on Amazon, but marketing obviously kind of encompasses everything, right? And so as we're kind of going through our interview today, I'll be really specifically going for e-commerce for the most part. So I guess for me, I think one of the large challenges we've had in the last year has been Apple. The Apple snafu, whenever they kind of unleashed the privacy. And so it's kind of limited Facebook marketing and targeting specifically. Have you guys seen this? And what's the industry workaround for that? What's everybody been doing?
Yeah, so we've seen this come up. Some people that were focused entirely on that as their strategy, right? So it definitely impacted some people that were looking there. Now, our approach has always been focus on building an audience first, because with all the years of experience, combined years of experience we've seen this happen time and time and time again, right? Where everything comes and goes. So the only thing you can control online is your audience, your customer base, your list. And whether you're selling on Amazon, whether you're doing e-commerce, there are strategic, creative ways to build your audience, build your following up. And the other thing that we've also discovered is that you can end up getting a lower cost per clicks, even on Facebook, despite going through this. It's just a matter of being more strategic with your thinking and how you're targeting. And so one of the things that we've learned that we've always practiced, no matter what, because we know that it's going to be iPhone today, tomorrow it's going to be something else that's going to hit. And so we've learned throughout the time is you hedge for those kind of things to happen. And by hedging, I mean, build your following first, build your email list. Don't just build a social media following, because that will go as soon as Facebook changes or some other platform comes along and changes. Your algorithm will change your reach in a snap of a finger, and you have no control. So you always want to be building your list. So, to combat it. So that's kind of a twofold answer, right? First approach is moving forward, always build your list, because then you're not going to be stuck in that situation. The second answer to that is if you really are going to be intended on Facebook ads for doing this, you need to be very much focused around being strategic. So thinking outside the box a little bit. So, depending on the widget your customers are going for, let's say it's a kitchen gadget. Well, you need to get into the head of where are those people hanging out that would buy kitchen gadgets, or what kind of content are they going to digest? And a lot of people just focus straight on, well, this person is interested in cooking, and so they'll target that way. Well, everybody's doing that. So why not target people that are, deeper dives, and they're people that they've bought Rachel Ray's 30-minute meals, so they're probably going to be a little more targeted because they've actually bought books on that. Or, they're following certain large, let's say they watch, Shreya, what are some of you watch some great cooking shows on TV. I know you love
Top Chef.
Top Chef. There we go. Top Chef. Generally, people that watch Top Chef, would you say, Shreya, are cookers, right? They love to bake. They love to cook. So
you're right. They're chefs.
That would be another strategic thing to do, And so we looked at it less about, oh man, woe is me. We can't do all the retargeting we used to do. We just decided hey, you just got to be a little more strategic and go back to really how Facebook first started. When Facebook first started, they weren't doing all the straight up retargeting, and it wasn't as easy to do that. But, so there was that impact. But really just focusing, being strategic with it. I mean, that's what we have found great success. We still get super low cost per click. We're still getting engagement. We're still getting good, ROAS and good numbers for the clients and good leads and all that stuff. But you just have to be more strategic. So you just have to think a little more outside the box because it's going to get more difficult out there.
Yeah, I really like that answer, and kind of how you alluded to. First things is building a list. And so I think if your business is solely dependent on Facebook ads, then use this as kind of a warning sign, as kind of a time to really double down and pivot and diversify your traffic. Yes. So I really like that answer.
To that point, I want to point out, are you on Facebook ad just because it's hot, or is that where your audience is? Because we have kind of differentiated social media platforms into social platforms and problem-solving platforms. So Facebook, IG, TikTok, those are more like social connection type platforms. You're out there to hang out, connect, waste time, right? But problem-solving platforms like Google, Pinterest, like if you have something, or YouTube, right? If you want to learn how to do something, if you want to cook or you're looking for a new gadget, you're going to go to Google. You're going to go to Pinterest to say, hey, I'm looking for a new recipe, right? So you're more likely to buy if you're looking for something there versus on Facebook when I'm scrolling through it and you're trying to pitch a kitchen gadget to me. So try to go for problem solving platforms. You're going to get better results from that.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to kind of expand on that a little bit more, that's kind of a next level marketing in terms of like all of these social channels and search channels. What are you guys seeing in terms of like, let's say, let's just go with the spatula. We're selling the spatula that Rachel Ray uses. And so on all these channels, what channels would you use? Like what are, search intent, shopping intent, or just the big craze for a while was like TikTok. And to me, I have a son, he's 15, he's just on there like wasting time. Like, are people actually buying things on TikTok, or, what are you guys seeing?
Yeah, so they do. We're not saying ignore it, but have your basics in place. So like start from the problem solving platforms, like we were saying, which include like whenever you have a problem, you want to do like a how-to stuff, where do you go? You normally either go to Google to say, hey, I'm looking for such, or you go to Pinterest to look up like cooking recipes or how to decorate for a birthday. I'm just like tossing out all the things I recently searched for. Or to YouTube, right? Like those are some really three main ones that I just kind of pointed out that you go there to solve a problem. And if you get my attention there and then you pixeled me and now you're kind of retargeting me on Facebook to say, hey, you remember that spatula to cook that special meal? I'd be more likely to buy it. But you got me. I'm much more a warmer traffic than you coming to me on Facebook.
Yeah, or TikTok, gotcha. Or, and Google ads and Google shopping ads are also a big one for those that have e-commerce stores, maybe not at Amazon, but just standard e-commerce stores. Google shopping ads are seeing great uptick with people we work with. And the other one is, and if you were going to start with any of the ones that Shreya mentioned too, it would just be Google ads, straight up Google ads, because they're searching for what they want. You
have to look at the entire customer journey. Like I know big companies look at that. I think a lot of times small companies miss that. Small businesses, like as a purchaser, as a buyer, where are you in the journey of, are you ready to buy, or are you just kind of sort of interested, or, you kind of look at that and then target the ones that are really ready to buy, because that's where you're going to see the biggest return, and then work back.
Sure. So yeah, we're kind of getting into like the funnel, right? So like top of funnel. And so, Shreya, you mentioned Google, YouTube, Pinterest, where whenever you want to solve a problem, you go there and look it up. Mm-hmm. And then, you can kind of maybe pixel them, track them. And then further down in, you're saying kind of use that because Facebook is kind of like a disruptor, right? Yeah. Like you kind of have to, like, someone is on there. They're not looking on Facebook to buy a spatula. They're looking on Facebook to see what their friends and family are doing or whatever. And so you hit them with the spatula ad. But if they're already searching for it on YouTube or Google, then they're going to be like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. I was just looking for that. And so, I like that strategy. Now, how is the industry tracking? Now, has the Apple thing disrupted all of that tracking, or are there tools that you guys can track like cross-platform like that?
Yeah, so it's impacted some tracking to a certain level, but like a lot of the tracking people were used to. And I think, and that goes back to a lot of times we've been at this so long combined, and I, go way back. And, we go back to the dial-up days, right, where it's super slow, and GeoCities and all that fun stuff, right, way back when. And so I've seen this all, we've been through it all. Like, we used to have to track, I sound old now, gather around, children, but no, we used to have to track with, a Word document or a spreadsheet to know what your conversion was and do simple math. And it all goes back to the basics. Like, the principles of marketing are all the same. And I think a lot of times we got so, enamored by the Facebook or now Meta dashboard and how wonderful it was and the numbers it gave us and spit out. But the reality is you can track a lot of those things. It really boils down to looking at Google Analytics. That's a big one, is knowing your Google Analytics numbers, because that allows you to track where's your traffic coming from for the most part. It allows you to see how many visitors you're getting. It allows you to track if it's on your own store, the customer journey, what path are they going down? And that's a free tool that's out there. And so instead of getting all caught up and people get caught up in just using the Facebook metrics and reporting, Google Analytics is powerful. It's very, very powerful, and it tells you a lot of data that you want to know. And so we've kind of leaned more on that. And honestly, we were unfazed, and so were a lot of our clients we work with, because we already had these things in place. We hedged for this kind of issue because, I sound like a Debbie Downer, but it's inevitable. It's going, if it's not Facebook today, it's going to be something else tomorrow, and so, and you hit it on the head, Ken, when you said earlier, like, diversifying is so key. It's just like investing or anything like, diversify, because if all your money's in Bitcoin, it's not going to be pretty, right? But if you diversify your investing, it's good. Same thing with your web traffic. If it's all in Facebook or Meta, you're one algorithm change away, you're one iOS update away from not having a business. And that's scary territory to play in. So we've always really focused around building your audience first. So when we do run Facebook ads, when we run Instagram ads, we're running them to an opt-in form first to kind of capture their attention. And you can still do that on e-commerce. Maybe it's giving away a report. Maybe it's giving away a tip. If it is, we're just going to stick with a cooking example. I think it's lunchtime here. I'm hungry, so whatever, but we'll stick with cooking. But, if it is something they're cooking, you can give them recipes. You can give them, downloadable recipes. You can give coupon codes are one of the best. We all know, people love to play games, right, Shreya? Like the games where it's like spin to see your discount code, or, spin the wheel. People put their email in for that. So, you can get away with capturing audiences creatively on your stores. Now, Amazon's more difficult, but that's another game.
Right. If it's your own store, I think you have a lot of times you do that for like a individual's website. That's a little bit harder because then you have to think about what to give away of value. But if you have a store, gosh, give away a coupon. How many times have you at a brick and mortar store gone in and they say, hey, would you like a receipt emailed to you when you give them your email? They don't even give you a coupon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it works.
One thing. And so I want to dive into the capturing the email on the website real quick, but then I want to go back to Google Analytics. So don't let me forget, because I do forget a lot. So on the website piece, and so something we're doing internally on a couple of our brands, we're testing capturing emails with the spin the wheel, and then also with a free ebook, Trading Value, like a 20 or 30 page ebook on whatever it is for that brand that would be useful for the audience. And so we've tested it, and we found that a lot of visitors complain about the pop-up, but they don't complain about the pop-up if it has a spin the wheel on it. Do you guys see the same, or what is your take on increasing conversion on a website for getting emails? What is the top thing to use right now?
So the spinny thing is what we call infotainment. Like it's not you're not giving away information, but it's fun. You gamified it.
Yeah,
and
gamification.
If you can, gamification. So if anything you can gamify, you're going to get a much higher conversion than just a plain old, like never say sign up for my newsletter. Never, ever say that.
Yeah.
Because that's, $19.99.
I still see that. Sadly, it's still built into templates even. I'm like, I even see that on Shopify templates and stuff. It's like, opt into our newsletter. I'm like, who does a newsletter still? Nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that, Shreya, you mentioned gamification because that is where, if you look at even Meta, that's all about, that's going to become gaming and all that. I mean, it's all, people love to be, TikTok is entertainment. They love to be entertained. So to them, it's exciting. Like, hey, if I go to this website, I have a chance to get 50% off, or granted, they're always going to get 10%, but hey.
If you have a theme, stick with it, make it fun. Like a great example, I actually love Tunnel Bear, which is a VPN service. Everything is about a bear. The bear hibernates when it's loading. So, you're entertained as a person who's interacting with the software. So just make it fun. If it's fun for you, it's fun for your audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, great point. Definitely agree. And so gamification, you're saying, is what you guys have seen as the highest conversion rate on the website for emails. Okay, excellent. Yep. Very cool. So getting back to the Google Analytics before I forget, as you guys are kind of, let's say you get a new client, right? And you're onboarding them and you're kind of taking a peek behind the curtain at the Google Analytics. What are, say, that maybe some of the top 2 to 4 KPIs that you're looking at that matter the most? Because, for a novice that opens up Google Analytics, it's a bear, to be honest. It's very complicated. And so can you guys maybe give us the quick rundown of what to focus on?
Yeah, it's first things that we look at. It's going to be the amount of time they're spending on the pages. So the bounce rate is going to be the biggest one. First things first, because you want to know how fast are they landing on a page and leaving, and what page are they leaving from. That's one of the most important metrics to look at right out of the gate. Because if you find that there's a certain product that people keep leaving consistently and it's like a higher than normal rate, then that tells you either the copy stinks, either your photos are off, or your pricing is off, or all three. So that's going to tell you something's wrong, because if that's getting a higher bounce rate, and that's where I'd start first and then work our way backwards, right? So you want to see, what does that look like? And then the other one is going to be the behavioral flow. And that's really important because that's going to tell you how they're flowing through your store. And that'll also tell you where things are broken. So if you find that, okay, they come through the homepage and they end up on, let's say the majority of the visitors go to the homepage and they end up not on the cooking category because you thought that's what we were selling, but they end up on the toaster category, let's say, or something, then you're going, I never realized most of my visitors wanted toasters. Maybe they're shopping for a wedding or something, but they're, but everybody's there and they want toasters. So then that's going to tell you, well, maybe I should feature this more, or maybe, what is intrigue? What's with this toaster image that gets attracted? So behavior flow is a big one that we look at too, to just kind of assess what they're doing. And the other one is, how long are they staying on the website? That's such an important metric to look at and see, what's your average time on the site. So that's, if it's around a minute, you're going to be pretty good chance they're going to be making conversions down the road. And then, of course, the final KPI is really once you start to see, like, what's the conversion rate for the store. And that some businesses, when we start with them, don't have that set up. A lot of them don't. And that's okay if you don't have that set up. Like, don't panic and be like, I don't have that set up. It's not the end of the world. You can still make a lot of sales without having all that set up. Yes, it's helpful, but don't get caught up in that. But that would be the final thing I'd look at. And then if there was a fifth thing, I would look at where the traffic's coming from. So is it organic, social, paid ads, which one? And then I view, when you get the conversion tracking set up, I view which channel sending the most conversions. 9 times out of 10, with everybody we work with, email gets the biggest conversion rate. Email typically will get the best conversion rate. And sometimes it won't show up as email traffic. So that's something for people to understand too. It's oftentimes will show up in Google Analytics as direct traffic. So you'll see a large uptick. We work with a client that they do a lot of email, and it doesn't show up all the time because it's the way Google tracks it. They don't always show that it came from MailChimp or Aweber's Click or some other platform, but it shows that it's direct traffic. Well, we're not getting that many people a month to just type in our website. We know where it's coming from. So we know it's direct. We know that's the email campaign, plus at times when it was sent out. So, that's typically going to be the biggest conversion. And then organic SEO tends to be, this is 90% of the time. Organic SEO usually be the second best converter. And then paid ads, like paid Google, paid Bing, all those kind of things. And then the final one is almost always social media. It's always the final least conversion rates we see. So
Excellent. That's huge. And I've never really broken down our traffic sources in that order and tried to, try to push more with email and everything else. So just to kind of recap everything you said, Paul, the bounce rate, time on page, behavioral flow, time on site, traffic, where the traffic comes from, and then conversions. So
exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sorry to interrupt the episode. You may have heard Ken and I talking recently about a new tool that we're using for Amazon refunds. Now, I have used other refund tools like this. However, I can tell you in the first 7 days, they scrubbed the back end of my Amazon account going back 18 months and found $5,000 of refunds. And the nice thing about this is it's my money. Amazon made a mistake and they are just auditing my account. The other thing I really like about this tool is there is no monthly fee. They only charge a commission if they are successful in getting you your money. Go to getida.com, Getida, and enter promo code FTM for Firing the Man, FTM400. This is an awesome tool. Can't say enough good things about it. Now, back to the episode.
I've noticed on ours, there's I guess Google they're upgrading or updating the Google Analytics. I keep seeing this. So it says like, hey, click here to upgrade to, I think it's Google Analytics 4, something like that. Can you speak to like, what is the difference there? Are they like, is there a big, huge update? Should we worry about that or what?
Yeah, so it's just going to be a reporting dashboard, and it actually is coming online. It's going to be 2023. I think it's June 1st or July 1st, something like that, 2023. So it's going to be in the future here. And so you've got time to adjust. It's going to just be different reporting. What's going to happen is they're going to actually quit reporting the data that like was going into your old dashboard that's now going to be in the new one. So by 2023, so you got about a year plus to where you're going to want to get switched over to it. It's just going to be better reporting, more detailed reporting. There are going to be some different codes and stuff you'll probably have to input on the site. So some of those things will change. Mainly what's going to change is the look and feel. And there's going to be a few more fancier tools and reports, which to me, I think that's going to be great. I've peeked at it. I'm still on the old version. I tend to be old school because I've been around so long. And I'm like, I'm used to this. But we slowly adjust to these things because you have to, or you're going to get left behind. But one of the things we've always learned too in marketing, we're never all in. Like, I don't know, I'm not saying this Google one's one to be worried about, but this is just an example for, let's say, any new platform. Let's say Clubhouse, for example, right? We all know what that debacle was. So we know people that jumped right in there. Like they abandoned everything they were doing that was working. Oh, this is hot. This is hot. And then they come limping back later going, what happened? And that's, it's okay to jump in on the new hot trends, but if you're just focusing on trend marketing, you're going to have a trendy business, and that's a tough spot to be in. So, jumping. And so we're slow to adopt on new things too.
It's okay to jump from one another, not jump, but like go to the new trend because there's money. There's a lot of money to be made. Yeah. If your foundation is set, what we teach is we call it our FTE formula, F being the foundation, T being the traffic, and E being the engagement piece so foundation is more like your website. Are you capturing emails and all that? If that's not set up, which is majority, believe it or not, majority of them don't have it set up, which is so sad because they all jump to traffic, right? Immediately they're like, I'm on social media. I want traffic. I'm going to run ads. And then they don't see conversions or anything, right? Out of that money that they spent. So if you're jumping from trend to trend and have your foundation set, that's fantastic. But if you don't have that, or if you're in the process of setting that up and something new comes up and you like, forget foundation, I'm just going to jump, then that's going to be a disaster.
That is such good advice. I do also know some people who just went all in Clubhouse and they were in there for hours and weeks and months and it just dissolved and they had nothing to show for it. So yeah, I'm with you in the same camp, Paul. I watch from afar when there's something new and shiny and I kind of study it and I watch and maybe dip my toe in a little bit, but also stay with what's stable and what's working. Right. I have shiny object syndrome and that's kind of what that is. And so I've also had to pull myself back with. And to Shreya's point, it really gets a lot of people sidetracked, the shiny object syndrome. And so sticking with a system or a process that works and then just testing other things. And then if they work, kind of add them into that system and process. So I really like how you guys have kind of defined that and kind of structured it.
Yeah, and it works well. We work with an e-commerce client just now that they took it to a level where they got their whole foundation set beautifully. Like we're talking almost, to a T, like everything was spot on. Their website looked good. Their copy looked good. They're getting traffic from problem solving sources. And they went to the point where they have thousands of customers, almost 10,000 customers now, and they have not started social media yet. At that, I would say, okay, you should have started social media much sooner, which, great, because now they have all these brand advocates that are trying to tag, post, share, the results, but they have nowhere to take them. So it's a balance, right? So you do have to, we're not against social media, but it really has its place in your customer journey, right? If you look at Best Buy, social media, or any company like that, large brand, what are they? They tend to be engaging with current customers. They're not there to engage with new people. And that's how you need to approach your business is like, when you get your first 500 to 1,000 customers, push them to a social media channel. And you send out the Amazon box, put a little flyer in there to get them to join your list if you can swing it without Amazon getting upset. But also more importantly, hey, follow us on social media for product tips or for advice or help or something, support. And then that's going to build your following. So then when you run promotions, you don't have to pay for those ads. They're now on your social media. They're now engaging with you. So, that's just something that we see that gets mixed up too.
Oh, I wanted to say one more thing. Sorry. When you're digitally marketing, right, online, all these social media platforms are just traffic sources. I don't think people look at it that way. So if you have a foundation piece set up, you can plug in any traffic source. It'll work. But if you don't have the foundation set up and just focus on traffic, you have nowhere to plug that traffic into.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a really good point. Yeah. And then you can also test new ones as well, as long as your foundation there, you plug them in.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
kind of moving on to a kind of pivoting now. Let's say, someone has got an e-commerce store, they've got their foundation, their website set up, and their traffic's starting to come in. Now let's move into a little bit of email marketing. And so let's say we're capturing emails. What are maybe your top 3 email marketing tips on how to engage and how to, increase revenue with email?
Yeah, the biggest one is going to be know your audience and when they open their emails. Like there's certain products, certain niches, certain audiences that open their emails at different times. Like we work with some industries where the best time to mail is 9:00 at night or Pacific time, so midnight Eastern, because it kind of is a sweet spot for across the globe because it's got a global following, right? It's a digital download type offer. Then there's other niches where your customer base is in a certain region or certain area. So you need to know when they tend to be online. For e-commerce store owners, it's critical to know, and that's where Google Analytics will tell you, what are your peak times on the website? So when are people most active on your website? And it's important to know that data because you know when to send. So you need to send based on when your audience is, because there are certain markets where if you send it during the day, they're at work, they may not be buying that cooking gadget during their work time, or they may be, but most of the time they probably won't. It'll be more of an evening purchase. So, you need to know where your audience is. But let's say, we worked with a client that was in the lupus testing niche market. I mean, very, very niche specific. So when we would send email campaigns for them, it was a, device. And so you could consider it e-commerce in a sense. But it was not, we would not send that at 7 p.m. at night because their doctor, they're like, we don't care, but during the day, during the morning time, the typical doctor would check their email in the morning, and then that would be the best time, best open rates, all that. So just knowing what you're selling, obviously you know what you sell, but knowing how your customers interact with you is going to be the most important thing. So you're not reaching them with the inbox when they're apt to check it out, it's going to fail. And Shreya, the other one's the headlines, right? Like we find testing those are big.
It is. And a lot of times what we do is, and you can see the big companies do this too, send the same email with a different subject line to the unopens, the people that did not open the email. And you see, even to the opens, the big companies like Best Buy and stuff, it's the same email all week long. They just change the headline. Like if you think about it, and you still open it. I still open it.
Yeah. Same image, same promo.
Yes, same thing. And it works. It can work.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get too caught up in, they're like, okay, I got to do a 3 email series now for this promo we're doing. And so they'll work really hard and they'll draft 3 different emails. The reality is, it's going to hurt some feelings. The reality is you might get 30% open rate. That means 70% didn't even see that first email. So why did you go through the effort of putting in a whole nother email campaign? Send that the next day or later that day to the ones that unopened. And then you're going to find that all of a sudden more people are seeing that message. And that's truly, truly important. So that would be, the headline, and then also sending to the unopens would be our third strategy. That's a big one.
Okay.
I say headline, I mean subject line. Why do I keep saying headline? It's subject line. Thank you.
Subject, yeah. All good. So just to recap, we've got check into the Google Analytics and see if there's a trend in there on when, the visitors are coming to the site. Mm-hmm. And if there's a specific peak period, send emails like maybe right before that.
Yeah.
And then try different split test or try different subject lines and resend to unopens. Those are the top three?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Top three. Awesome. They work every time.
Very cool. All right. Now you guys have a wealth of knowledge in the marketing. And so I'm going to try to cover as many different topics as we can. So our audience gets as much knowledge as today as possible. So we're going to pivot a little bit. And so the next one is kind of SEO best practices for e-commerce sites. Do you have any top tips there for like product detail pages, how to convert more?
Yeah. So on the product detail pages, the biggest thing to do is really incorporate, find that we were talking about problem solving traffic, right? Google is a problem solving platform. So you have to think of it. People are typing in what issues they're trying to solve. A lot of e-commerce stores that we see that we work with, the biggest mistake they make is they put the product name for the title tag. So title tag is if you visit a website and you put your mouse over the very top of the tab, in the browser tab, the keywords that drop down, that's your title tag. That's the most important thing Google looks at. Google looks at any page on a website to determine its relevancy for a certain keyword term. So basically, simpler way to look at it is they're looking to see if your page is about that keyword. And so the title, just like you would, if you had the title of an essay for school or something, that's what that is. So it's the title tag. It's the biggest thing. So your title tag needs to incorporate your keywords, not just the name of your product, because two things could happen. A, it could be the way that you name your product, or B, it's the way everybody else names that product. So either way, it's not going to be the best. So what typically we found success with e-commerce in particular, you can put the product name, but also put what it solves. So let's say it's Ergo Automatic Pet Feeder. I'm just throwing an example out there. Ergo Auto Pet Feeder is what the product's called. Well, that's okay. But you should also do dash in there and then automatic pet feeders, large automatic pet feeders, large automatic dog waterers, large automatic or small cat feeders, cat waters. So incorporate keywords that people are actually looking for along with the title of your product. And nobody's going to see the title tag. So a lot of people are like, well, that's great. But now they're going to see this long keyword string. It's going to look really bad. No, they don't see the title tag there. Only people that really see that is Google and SEO nerds like us that know what to look for. Most people aren't going to see that. But when you're working with a web person or web and you want them to do true SEO is going to be optimized with the title tag. And Shopify has this feature. Almost all e-commerce platforms, WooCommerce, all of them have the ability to have custom title tags. And then the other one is custom meta descriptions. That'd be tip number 2. So meta description should also include your keywords. So product name is great, but then what does it solve? So large automatic pet feeders is a great one. Small spatula for baking,
Think of long tail keywords. So
yes.
Yeah, more than, 3 words that as actually solving a problem. Get into your customer's mindset and say, if I have this problem, what would I search for? And make that a keyword.
And there's some good points on a way to find keywords for those. There's 2 ways. There's a tool we love called SEMrush. That's the industry standard tool. But for those that don't want to pay money for it on a monthly basis, you can just go to Google and you could literally type in automatic pet feeders and see what comes up in Google. So start typing automatic pet feeder and Google's going to auto suggest. We've all seen it, right? If you go to Google and you start typing, Google auto suggest. They also do the same thing on YouTube. You can do the same thing on YouTube. And they're going to autofill with suggested keyword phrases that they find as these are phrases people also searched for. So Google's basically telling you what people are also searching for. And so that's a way to find those long tail keywords that you probably didn't think about before. And so when you're optimizing your product detail pages, incorporate those keywords, whatever that is. So product name and a core keyword in your title tag, and then product name and a core keyword in your meta description, and then include that in your description itself for SEO purposes. Include that in your description, in that keyword, whatever those 1 or 2 keywords are. That's very important. And we'll give one 4th tip. When you're uploading your images, name the images that keyword phrase. So if you could do the product name for your own, digital asset managing work and all that. But so you can have your product name, product SKU, whatever you want to name it, but then do dash automatic dash dog dash pet dash feeder. It's like a little hack, but it optimizes your images So then you start to show up in Google image search for free, and that's worth its weight in gold. That's a big one. And then alt text, adding the alt text is also big, because when you upload any image, they're going to ask for the alt text too, which alt text, put the keywords in there again.
I'm going to do one more thing. Don't put your store name in your title tag.
Yes.
Like, a lot of people do that, like thinking that people search with their store names. They're not going to search for your store name in Google.
Right.
It's how big you are.
If you do it at the very end of the title tag if you really think you must have it, and that's okay. It's okay to have it on your homepage, but at the very end, but
on the product pages.
Not on the product pages. Yeah, you don't need it on every product page. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a ton of golden nuggets in there. So let's do a little bit of a review for the listeners. So we have title tags. Make sure you include relevant keywords, meta description, and include those same relevant keywords as well as what does the product solve. Mm-hmm. And long tail keywords, focus on those. And a couple of ways to get those would be an SEO tool, SEMrush, Ahrefs, Google itself typing in how to blank, and then another one that I like to use is it's answer the public and typing those in. And that's kind of an aggregate of all Google, and it's very detailed. Third tip was product description. Take all the keywords from the title tags, meta description, and products, and kind of embed them and make sure they're in the product description. And then the bonus one was name your images with your keywords that you're including in the first three, as well as the alt tag.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're on a roll here. So one more before we pivot. So what are your top 3 copywriting and conversion boosting hacks?
Yes. So this is going to stem from knowing your customer avatars. Step 1. This is not the most attractive, sexiest thing to talk about in business, right? Customer avatar. That basically boils down to who are you trying to reach? Who are you selling to? And, just like at the start of the show, Ken, you told us who your core audience is, right? E-commerce store owners. Some people are starting a business and dipping their toes in the water. So we know who to talk to, right? When we talk, that's how we're talking right now. So knowing who you're talking to is the most critical thing you can do. So who is the person that's going to buy your products? And you would be shocked how many people launch a business and don't know who their target market is. They're like, I just got this great product, like let's go back to the cooking utensil example, the spatula, who is going to get the most use out of the spatula? And doesn't have to be every user. It could be a certain use case of it, or it could be the majority of people, but understanding who they are is going to help you write copy that resonates with those people. And the biggest mistake people make on their PDPs, the product detail pages, is they literally go out there and they put in, they'll just
keep
say
it generic.
What the specs are. Yeah, generic.
They keep it generic. Mm-hmm. It's okay to have multiple audiences. You could have a Paul and you can have a Shreya.
Right.
But I might be attracted to the spatula for a different reason than Paul might be. So you could have all my interests, and I could be one of your target audience. Name them. We actually had this one person we were talking to, and they named their person, and we started doing that too. So while we were talking, all of a sudden you're like, wait, this is not what Nancy wants. Nancy wants this.
Yes.
So all of a sudden you're talking and having a conversation with a friend rather than trying to figure out what that person, go all over the place. So name the people, name your target audience. And it's okay to have a Nancy and a Paul and a Ken, but talk to them differently. So your conversions are higher.
Yeah. And if you have you could even do slightly different product variation. If you're really going to run ads, let's say because your ads targeting is going to be different too, right? Nancy, let's say it's a Nancy, or let's say it's a Jim, they might hang out on different platforms. And so you could actually split test them and have ads running. That's super complex, right? So for those that don't want to go there, think of your general audience. Who's your general avatar for this particular product or for your website in general? And then hook them with copy and messaging that's going to resonate with them. So, instead of a lot of times people in writing copy for products, this is a spatula with a black tip on it and a brown handle, and it's wonderful, and it's made with this kind of silicone, and I love it. That's it. And then they're done. Nobody cares. Every other spatula does that. But if you share what they can do,
I'm sorry, you should give their example of the stars. The glowy stars. Yeah, give them that example.
Yeah, so when I was doing, getting going in online selling, I was doing some eBay selling, and I discovered these, those stars that you can buy at the dollar store that you stick on the wall.
Glow in the dark.
Glow in the dark stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I did is I decided to craft a story around these stars. And I basically turned the stars into something that everybody felt like they needed to have. And so I started to tell a story. My first time I listed it, I just listed generic. The next time I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. And I wrote a story about, hey, imagine as you lay in bed next to your child and look up at the solar system and imagine the wonder and you know, the amazing journey you're going to go on with your child. Like I hammed it up good, right? And these silly stars started selling for $8 to $10 a thing. And there were other competitors selling for 99 cents to $1 for the same product. And when I was sold out of those, I sold a bunch of them, sold out of those, I had people coming, messaging going, hey, you got more of those stars? And it was like, you could buy the same thing, almost the same image, but I made them feel a certain way. It made them feel special. It opened up their eyes. It made them feel like they're going on this journey with their child. And it was just stars. And I'm not saying you need to ham up every product on your page, but there might be certain products of yours where you want to add a little more, you know, push to it to give it, you know, a little more of an edge. And try to avoid being like everybody else, especially drop shipping stores. It's so easy for people to copy and paste what's already there, you know? Tell a story. I'm glad Shreya mentioned that one because that is a good example of copywriting is storytelling. People call it story selling. I mean, make them feel a certain way and they're going to be more apt to purchase and it's going to set you apart from everything else out there.
Yeah, that's huge. And yeah, I really like that. And so to kind of sum up that piece is really, you know, storytelling, building that connection and kind of invoking emotion from your, you know, from the shoppers, from the visitors. And so,
right. And that's, those are strong.
Go ahead.
No, those are strong. And then the headline too, the opening headline or sentence is also critical because that's going to hook the user. So, you know, that first sentence, a lot of copywriters will spend most of their time on that first sentence because that's the hook. Because if you don't hook them, you're not going to sell. Okay.
Excellent. No, really, top shelf stuff right there. Awesome. So I definitely want to be respectful of your time. And so let's pivot a little bit and let's talk marketing counts. And so who does marketing counts serve and how?
Yeah, definitely. So we serve a variety of clients. Now, thanks to Shreya's process-based approach, we've been able to work with clients in all sorts of verticals and niche markets. Everybody from health supplements, e-commerce, to state farm businesses, to small businesses, publicly traded companies, large companies, and universities as well. So we've been able to work with a large gamut of clients and all deliver great results because we've determined and we discovered this on our own. But when you're focused on the process and you're focused on building an audience, using problem-solving traffic first, using the right engagement platforms where your audience is hanging out, and then looking at the numbers and really simplifying it, the niche at the end of the day does not matter. So it allows us to be able to work with a variety of people. And that's what I hope everybody got out of this is that no matter what you're selling, you can apply this. Like, I don't care if you're selling toilet handles, if you're selling cooking products, it does not matter what your e-commerce store is selling, supplements, health, whatever it is. You can have success with e-commerce if you're focused on these strategies. So that's enabled us to work with clients that are everywhere from solopreneurs all the way up to publicly traded companies with thousands of employees and give consulting and advice for them. So who we serve is really clients that have an interest in kind of taking their marketing to another level. And that's who we work with, is people that want to take their marketing to another level and get a real honest, down-to-earth approach to it.
Okay. Awesome. And what size does a company need to be a good fit to work with marketing accounts?
We actually have created, so we've learned the art of, creating something that's going to fit everybody's need. So if it's a solopreneur, we have a program that is more of a, coaching type club, where we'll get on twice a month, ask questions. So that's for any budget starting out. We also go all the way up to, higher ticket, larger businesses for those that want more handholding. And that's where we serve as a fractional chief marketing officer. So we come in and we basically run their marketing operations. We build them a marketing team and then we exit. And so that's for clients that want to spend, $30K plus a month in that range. But we also have something for people that want to spend $100 a month. And so we've kind of created packages along the way for everybody that fits.
Our key differentiators are process that we teach. So we don't lock anybody in for like a long-term contract or whatever.
Right.
Our focus really is education. So if you're a business that is ready to get away from all of that, being stuck and try to be educated so you can ask those intelligent questions, those are the better fits because we're not flashy. I realize a lot of people in marketing go for the flashy and a lot of clients go for the flash, right? And we are not flashy. So that would not be a good fit if that's what you're looking for. We're more educate and then kind of make you self-sufficient. And if you're ready to be self-sufficient, then that's fantastic. That's the fit.
That's our goal. Anybody at any budget we work with. So if you're going through a coaching, we want you to be able to not have to be tied to us forever. And a lot of agency people look at us sideways when they find out this model, because to them, they're like, why would you want people to leave? Well, to us, it's always a challenge to work with somebody new. And it's also, we want to empower people to run their business, because it's at the end of the day, it's your business. You shouldn't be tied to an agency to run your marketing. And so you should be able to know enough to be able to run it. And so, yeah, education counts. That's the first thing we focus on. Educate, and then allow them to be able to market.
Awesome. Yeah, I really like that, building, the foundation off of systems and processes, and then the education piece. I think that's a really good kind of blend of everything. So awesome. I really appreciate you sharing that. And so for every show, we do what's called a fire round. And today we get to do 2 fire rounds, one for Paul and one for Shreya. Are you guys ready?
Yes, ready to go.
All right, let's go with Shreya first. What is your favorite book?
Harry Potter series.
Awesome. What are your hobbies?
Anything crafty. It changes from time to time depending on, what season it is. So something crafty, yeah.
Cool. What is the one thing you do not miss about working for the man?
Asking for time off. Because now I just tell Paul, hey, I'm not going to be there. And he kind of picks up my slack.
Love it. Awesome. What do you think sets apart successful entrepreneurs from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
Consistency. You just have to, like any story that you hear from anybody, there's nothing special about any of the big names. And we worked with big names. There's absolutely nothing special about them. They just do it. They just do it on a consistent basis. And someone who didn't make it didn't do it.
Excellent answer. All right. Over to Paul.
All right.
What is your favorite book?
Got it right here. Steal the Show. It is by far one of my favorite books. It's, it's going to teach you how to have one line that's going to hook people no matter what you do. So it's strong. That was one of the biggest takeaways from that.
That's awesome. I'm going to add that to my list.
It's great.
What are your hobbies?
College football. Love watching college football. Absolutely big fan. Washington State University. Go Cougs. So
awesome. What is the one thing you do not miss about working for the man?
I did 8 months working for the man. And what I do not miss, I guess for me, it was like being forced to work on something you don't want to work on. As an entrepreneur now, we choose who we work with, when we want to work. So we set our hours, but we also choose who we work with. And, we do a lot of our coaching calls, client work 3 days a week. And then we have Monday and Friday open to do work, podcasting, whatever we want to do during that time. So we have flexibility, right? That's the biggest thing. It's flexibility, time freedom.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it sounds like, both of you guys had about similar ones on that with time.
Yeah.
What do you think sets apart successful entrepreneurs from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
I think too many people, like the successful entrepreneurs, they keep at it. So when they get knocked down, they get up again and they keep going. Cue the song. But they keep going. They keep battling. And too many people, they take their ball and go home way too early. And not to be a Debbie Downer again, but the reality is you are going to fail time and time and time again with the business. It does, it's inevitable. And so the ones that make it are the ones that persevere. And so, it's no different looking at your website conversion rates. 90-some%. If you're converting it, 10%, you're doing great. That means 90% of the time you're failing. So you just have to have thick skin, not be a perfectionist, and just keep at it. And you can always make little tweaks, but the ones that make it, keep at it. They don't give up.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I really appreciate Paul and Shreya for you guys coming on to Firing the Man podcast today. If someone listening wants to reach out and get a hold of you guys, maybe work with you guys, how can they do that?
Yeah, so we have an email. You can just email us, workwithus@marketingcounts.com. And that's a great way to get in touch directly to us, or marketingcounts.com.
Excellent. Well, really appreciate you guys being on the show today.
All right.
Looking forward to staying in touch.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's Firing the Man podcast. If you like this episode, head on over to firingtheman.com and check out our resource library for exclusive Firing the Man discounts on popular e-commerce subscription services. That is firingtheman.com/resource. You can also find a comprehensive library of over 50 books that Ken and I have read in the last few years that have made a meaningful impact on our business. For that, head on over to www.firingtheman.com/library. Lastly, check us out on social media at Firing the Man and on YouTube at Firing the Man for exclusive content. This is David Schomer.
And Ken Wilson.
We're out. Before you go, we wanted to share a new service that Ken and I have been using called Getita that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getita collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to Getita.com, Getida.com, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?